Hello traders, and welcome to another Parallax video. Today we will be going over a very useful technique that uses Fibonacci levels to help you find the most important areas to watch on any price chart. We call them Fibonacci clusters. Knowing how to find these cluster areas is a great way to determine price levels, not just for, say, profit taking, but also to find those areas on a price chart where price is most likely to turn and to start the next big either bull move up or bear move down. So put simply, Fibonacci clusters are areas on a price chart where multiple different Fibonacci retracements or extensions or projections all overlap with one another. These areas are very high probability targets to watch, especially when combined with Elliott wave theory, which is our favorite style of technical analysis here at Parallax. Now, there are no strict rules as far as how much overlap or exactly how close the levels need to be considered a proper Fibonacci cluster zone. It's up to the analyst to decide. But of course, the more levels that overlap, the better. So the easiest way to demonstrate this is to look at some examples. So here I've drawn an impulse down, and for those of us that have a bit of Elliott wave knowledge, this will make sense. So here I have just a typical impulse down, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have the beginnings of a correction. I have wave A and wave B. Now again, those of you who understand a bit of Elliott know that this is most likely a zigzag correction, and we're anticipating a wave C to complete this wave 2 correction here. So it would be very helpful then if we could anticipate a possible area where that wave C might end, because that would put us in a very strong position to catch the next wave down. So in this case, we look at what we have on the chart already. We have a completed wave A and a wave B here. Well, one very common way to use, in this case, Fibonacci projections, is to measure the length of this move here and then project that length from the end of this wave here. So what I've done is I've used the Fibonacci projection tool, which is the dashed line that you see here. I've measured the length of wave A, and I've projected that length from the termination point of wave B. And as you can see, that's where that's the meaning behind this number 1 here. This is the level where wave C is exactly the same length as wave A. And we can see that it lines up quite nicely with a very common Fibonacci retracement level. In fact, the most common Fibonacci retracement level. It's our golden ratio, 61.8. This number is very important in technical analysis, and of course very important in Elliott wave analysis as well. So in this example, we've combined two levels, a Fibonacci projection here with a Fibonacci retracement, and that's the solid lines here. And if I were looking at this chart, I would be very curious what happens in this red box here. I would be watching very closely to see how price reacts to this level, simply because I have drawn a Fibonacci cluster right in this area, and I anticipate at the very least this level will provide resistance and quite likely will be the area where wave C stops, and then we get the next bear move to the downside. So now let's move over to some live examples. This is a current chart of US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm on the 2-hour chart. And so here we have what I think is quite clearly an impulsive wave. If you want to count the subwaves, you can, but it's very clear that this is some kind of impulse. And from the top, we have the beginnings of a correction. Wave A down, wave B appears to be some kind of zigzag. Now, again, wouldn't it be helpful if we could predict or anticipate the end of this wave C here. That would put us in a great spot to take an awesome trade in this pair. Well, let's do the same work that we just did in that other example. Let's start with our Fibonacci retracement tool. And we can see a couple levels here. We have a 38.2 level here, 50 level here, 61.8 level here. So now let's see if we can stack some other Fibonacci confluence that might match up with some of those levels. So now I will get my projection tool, and just like I did in the previous example, I will measure the length of wave A, project that from what I anticipate is the extreme of wave B here. And as we can see, and we can make that a bit bigger and easier to see, we see that the 1-to-1 level, or the 1-to-1 Fibonacci projection level, lines up quite nicely with the 38.2 retracement level. So again, I have a Fibonacci cluster zone here in this red box. So as price continues to move to the downside, I am going to be very curious how the market reacts to this level here around, we'll say 128.5 to 128.6 or so. I'm anticipating a bounce at the very least, or it's entirely possible that price will continue to the upside and we'll have the next big wave 3 move here. Or we could always get a ABC W correction, or W wave, and then wave X up here, and then wave Y somewhere down here. Again, for those of us that understand Elliott, we could be working a complex correction. It's difficult to say at this point in time. However, utilizing a couple different Fibonacci tools, I'm able to layer things on top of each other to get those areas on a price chart that are most important to watch. So it's worth noting that the Fibonacci cluster technique doesn't work with just any pivot points or every single high and low that you might see on a chart. And you've heard me reference Elliott wave a few times. So this technique is most useful when combined with the Elliott wave principle. This is because the wave principle allows us to put an entire price chart into a much bigger context, so we know which moves are most important to measure with our Fibonacci tool. And like I mentioned, the wave principle is by far our most favorite technical analysis tool here at Parallax. So if you would like to learn more about either Fibonacci clusters or, more importantly, the wave principle, please join our Discord group. The link will be in the description below. We have an awesome group of traders, and we're always sharing charts, sharing wave counts. We exchange trade ideas, all kinds of great stuff. We include all markets, FX, equities, cryptos. So if you're curious to learn more, please join us over there. All right, that's it for this video. All right, thanks again, guys.